ask your recruiter. If anyone knows me, the recruiter is your best friend. How does the company make money? You definitely want to know that and be able to not necessarily answer that question, but that will give you an idea of how the company flows, what's important to the organization. If you can't concisely express yourself, especially in corporate America, time is money. So no one has time to sit here and listen to you give a long soliloquy about you being born back in, California, and then you move to the East Coast and not like, no, that's just too much. But brevity, to be able to tell a story in a concise, clear manner, like that's money. You can win the interview in those first 2 minutes. But if by some chance that you mess that up, if you have really, really good questions at the end, and that's the last thing that they remember about you, you can quickly just catapult.
I deserve this. Like, I better get this. Like, it's almost like that entitlement part of it versus like, it is a give and take. Unfortunately, companies do have the upper hand. Maybe like 2 years ago when it was such a candidate driven market that companies were just throwing things at people to get them in the door, then it doesn't really matter as much. But now it's kind of evened out. So I think the why behind it is important. Like for me, please God, do not put a meeting on my calendar 4 p.m. or later, because I will be glossed over by that point. Like I'm in cruise control at that point. If the flexibility isn't there and that is really important for the person, that's not the right position for you. That's not the right company for you.
Interviewing is definitely, it's a two-way experience. Just as much as that company is trying to learn about you and they want to know those things, it's your job to kind of learn those things too for yourself.
When do you ask about salary and how do you ask that?
I say have it, the earlier the better. Having that conversation with the recruiter, and probably one of the easiest ways to position it or ask the question is, again, coming from a place of curiosity, because a lot of times as a recruiter, we're going to ask, if it's not on the application, what are your salary expectations? Getting curious, saying to that recruiter maybe something to the effect of, I'm sure that you all have a really strong compensation package that you have for this position. I'm curious to hear, what is it that you all have budgeted for this role?
Post-COVID, before COVID and post-COVID, there's two different kind of realizations of job hopping. And now it's not really seen as a red flag as much anymore. Millennials and Gen Z workers, they've normalized this idea of changing jobs because they're the ones that are constantly seeing the trends online, social media presence, things being in their face of new things developing maybe in their career that they maybe not even were told at the beginning of their career that they could possibly do. Have that open mind in that direct, the actual interview is where you're going to tell your story. So I always tell people, just be real. Tell them what you experienced during your interviews, why you maybe job hopped 2 years, 1 year, 4 years, etc.
I think they just think like a company needs to just hand you money because you've been there a year, but are you being productive? But I think what's more important than having a great resume is being able to speak to your resume. A lot of it I see is, here's a really good resume. You get on a call, you ask questions about their experience or what they have on there, and they can't speak to it whatsoever. If you're curious about what the market's like because you've been through 5,000 applications or 500 interviews and you're not getting anything, maybe reach out to people in your network privately that you trust or you've built a good relationship with, or with an agency even, since they know the market so well.